Hello. Just want to make sure the mic is working, and I'm fairly certain it's working. If it's not working, let me know in the comments. This video is titled Going Deep into the Topic of Creativity, Understanding Yourself, and just reflection in general. Um, I do want to talk about some things because uh, I feel like last night I was kind of, it's always when I'm borderline manic or something, or like borderline psychotic or whatever, that I type up some of these things that, in my opinion, are extremely well thought out and very real and true. So, with that said, I'm going to start reading this and we're going to go from there. I do want to check out what I named this video because I forgot what I named it. Uh, so, I'm going to go to YouTube right now and see what the name of this video is. But going deep into the topic of creativity, releasing projects, and knowing who you are. Okay, so that's what this topic is about. That's what this video is titled. Um, I just wanted to be sure what the video was titled before I go on into the spiel. So I'll get started. I posted this tweet on my Twitter, and I thought it was really good thing to touch on as far as when it, going into the idea of what it means to be creative, and a person that makes things, and a person that is a creative person. Uh, so and ideas on how to be a better creator, a better creative person, a better creator. So I'll start off by reading this, and we'll go from there. So the first little segment of this, it says there's something to be said about attempting creative tasks as a blank slate versus attempting creative tasks and having a preconceived understanding of what is creative. So I think, it's kind of weird, but this is going to tie into some people that have nothing to do with our industry or field. But I don't know if you guys heard of these Island Boys, but they're musicians that, they don't make, whether you think they make good music is or not is completely up for debate. But these guys they don't listen to anybody else's music. They don't get inspiration from anybody else's music. They say they have this belief that if they watch or listen to other people's music, that it will affect and influence their music, and as a result, they won't be who they want to be. So, in this sense, I kind of understand what's going on here because, as you know, they're musicians and they're creatives. um, when we draw into when we talk about attempting creative tasks as a blank slate, as in not knowing anything at all about what you're going to do, not having anything in your arsenal, not having any tools, not knowing exactly how you're going to go about accomplishing whatever it is you're going to accomplish, and not knowing exactly what you're trying to create, as opposed to having this preconceived understanding of what is creative, and approaching a project that way. So when you approach a project, right? Like, particularly the way I do it is I draw inspiration from previous videos that I've done, the style that I have kind of developed, and also other videos that I have watched. So um, the idea here is that, you know as a blank slate, you really are tapping into something that is almost like genuine curiosity, and trying things that and doing things that you not necessarily understand what it is you're doing and what the intentions behind it are and what you're trying to create. But that, in my opinion, is genuine actual creativity. When you approach it as that blank slate, and you really have no idea what it is that you're doing. And I think the almost I want to, I'm not going to say the best creative work is created that way, because you get a lot of times you end up with something you don't know what it is. But I will say that tapping into that blank slate mentality with a preconceived understanding of what is creative is probably the best way to go. And in my opinion, it's extremely difficult to get out of your own head as far as trying to create something that is genuinely innovative and truly creative, something different than what everybody else has been doing. So it's interesting that in order to be creative, you have to understand that you really have to take risks. Uh, and when you have a preconceived understanding of what it means to be creative in the particular industry and the particular kind of medium that you're doing, it really makes it difficult for you to get out of that mentality, for you to be able to kind of access that blank slate. uh I don't want to say interface. That sounds like some computer shit, but that blank slate mentality, for you to be able to tap into that and be able to draw inspiration from that and be able to create something genuinely different. So we'll move on. The reality is creativity is infinite and boundless. With time, creatives develop a style, refining the process of creation and making something unique that fits their vision and appeals to their audience. So, yeah, it's like I was saying, creativity is infinite and boundless. There's no real concrete way to, and no real true way to edit a montage. I mean, there's definitely some parameters that you have to follow, but I think in terms of creativity, um, and I guess making something truly unique and truly genuine and truly innovative, um, you know, you can't really follow a style for that. There's no real style for that. You have to try and you have to take risks, is what I'm getting at. And yeah, refining the process of creation and making something unique that fits their vision, appeals to their audience. So we're always creating something that we have an idea of it, especially when you draw from experience. You're creating something that you have an idea of what it is that you're kind of doing. But when you have that blank slate mentality, you kind of tap into that infinite realm of creativity. uh yeah, yeah, it's a little bit hard to pinpoint this here. With time, creatives develop a style. Yes, absolutely. With time, you develop a style, you develop a certain way of doing things. It kind of gets stuck in your ways. You get stuck in your ways. um the truth is that you know I had a we used to have discussions about how to go about making these montages and these videos, and we used to go deep into this, like what is the best way to do it and what's the right way to do it. And the reality is there's no right way to do it. This is art, this is a creative field, a creative outlet, and really you're not limited by whatever it is other people's work looks like. So just because this person made a video like this and he had some success doesn't mean that your video needs to look exactly like that for you to have a success. And we'll touch more on that down the line. I'm moving on here. There's nothing I resent myself more for than breaking my damn head over trying to be somebody I'm not, trying to prove to somebody I can, and attempting to feel worthy when I deserved that from the get go. So I think that's the trap. That's the trap that we get ourselves into when we're creatives and we really care about something. If it's something that you care about, it could be anything: sculpting, painting, montage making, video art, whatever. Um, but when you start trying to be somebody that you're not, and you're trying to make something to prove to people that you can, and feeling worthy and trying to feel worthy because somebody else's work made you feel inferior to uh made you and your work feel inferior, is missing the entire point, because you deserve to give yourself love for what you created and the efforts that you put in. So we're going to keep going. The truth is, the best and most innovative montages have always been the ones with the most effort put into them. Not just effort, but also thought, effort and thought put into them. And the ones that weren't like every other edit out there. It makes no sense to me that instead of focusing on creating something I was proud of, something that served me and represented who I am, that instead I try to compete with everyone else in a creative field. So this is just like kind of reflecting on the creative process and why I took certain routes in kind of the way that I approach creating. And I think I got stuck in this idea that, you have to be this super technical, this tech whiz, and this kind of like super, like, like educated basically in the art form, in video arts, in order for you to create something truly compelling. And nothing could be further from the truth, because you can create something amazing with very basic knowledge. There's so many variables and so many ways you can use things um, to create something. And it just, I think everybody's just looking for that kind of pro look, that professional look. And I think that's another kind of trap that we get into, where we want the work to look super polished and amazing and incredible, and just, everybody's going to think it's like, you put so much effort and thought and took the time to really refine it and polish it, and that's going to make it such a success. And you don't necessarily need to have a million tools in order to accomplish that. Now, I do believe that if you have a hammer, everything starts looking like a nail. So it's good to have uh, different tool sets and experiment. But I mean, how many effects do you really want to use, and do you really want to incorporate into your edit? And my point is that you can get creative with very few variables, with very few effects, very few kind of tools. You can get creative, so you don't need to be a super incredible tech whiz. You just have to be kind of crafty with what it is that you're using. And so when we watch stuff like Kaiser, and I'll touch on this, like Kaiser's videos, Nikki's videos, other really good at Katha's videos, Mixie P's videos, like all these guys have their own kind of style, and they work within the same parameters. And it's really annoying, in my opinion, that we're all trying to replicate this style, which is why I appreciate somebody like Keys. Keys opens doors, right? I was watching his montage yesterday, his ultimate respawn montage. And honestly, man, I mean, that kind of art style is so cool. It's such an interesting way to create a Halo montage. And nobody had done anything like that before. And it's just, I mean, it just makes you wonder what other avenues there are to take this art form, besides that kind of like 3D super polished, like high tech, high skill ceiling kind of editing, as opposed to Keys's work, which is, I wouldn't say it's as technical as as uh, as Kaiser's or Nicky's or Zola's or Mixie P's or Katha's. However, it's a hell of a lot more creative given the parameters he's working within and what he's using and the tools he's using. So, in my opinion, I think that video is super creative, and we could learn a lot from that. So, um, let's move on. I do think being competitive creates pressure, and with that pressure, you have motivation to accomplish tasks. Without pressure, all I seek to do is create the best things I can, but it's almost like I spent such a long time trying to be someone I wasn't, that I forgot how to tap into who I actually am. So I'm just reflecting here on actually tapping into that creative side of yourself, that you're able to kind of produce things. And I have a lot of tools in my arsenal. I don't have as many as like some of these like top of the top editors, but I mean, I know how to use After Effects really well. I'm fairly comfortable in Sony Vegas. I mean, I could and mixing and mixing and mixing effects and layering, using layers, using compositions. Um, so I can do a lot if I really try to tap into who I am, and who I am is not somebody that, like, when I first started making videos, I was making probably my first couple videos are probably some of the most creative ones that I've ever made before I started kind of getting settled on a style and trying to replicate and be somebody that I wasn't. So um yeah, so pressure was good, being competitive was good for a bit, but I think once you kind of get the understanding of how to use certain tools, and I will say I feel like I'm stuck. I do feel like I'm stuck in a in a with the technical know-how of somebody from, like, even, I'm not going to say somebody from 2010, but I'm going to say somebody that, I did get stuck around the 2010 kind of mentality. But I think what the way I'm stuck is that I'm not a I'm I just don't really believe that you truly need, and the motivation is not there for me to actually try and compete with these guys in trying to make these super polished 3D, high caliber, highly polished, high caliber technical montages, and trying to compete within that realm. I really feel like it it's going to be easier. The path of least resistance is going to be easier to try and out creative these guys through some kind of different way to go about doing it than actually trying to compete with them in that avenue, and trying to make something like what Keys made, basically. So it's just something that I'm kind of battling with. um and we'll move on to the next thing. When I released the montage Invincible, I truly believe what set that video apart and made it successful was that I pulled ideas from the collective and tried to make something no one had done before. I poured my heart into that video, and it really was something I was truly proud of upon release. I think, the fact that I've been kind of on my own case about making these videos, and I haven't really truly appreciated what, like, some of my videos, some of my work, uh, for a very long time, because I haven't been able to really kind of be who I want to be, because I've been trying to be somebody else. I've been trying to be these people who I think make better videos than me, and I think have more impressive styles, and I want, and people I want to be like. But I think ultimately you have to be yourself. And I think that's what made that video, particularly that video, successful, because I was myself. I drew from inspiration from different things, but I was myself. I did things based on what I knew, that I thought were cool, and that I thought that I liked, and that I made something that I was truly like. When I released that video, I was like, this is something that I'm proud of, and I'm very happy with it. And there was no real pressure that I put on myself. I was just able to create. So that's what I'm getting at is, I spent a lot of time trying to be somebody that I wasn't, and that trying to create stuff based on how others people's work made me feel, and that's a trap that you need to avoid. So back to the tweet. How your work makes you feel at the time is honestly a reflection of its potential to succeed. You can create something legendary, and it does not require you to go to extremes of learning the ins and outs of super advanced software. While that is certainly a great way to make an impression, and these softwares are able to produce amazing visuals and bring your videos to life, creative works need soul. And I think I want to expand on that a little bit more, on what it means for a video to have soul. I think when you're copying and you're truly like, I've made some videos where I'm like, man, like, why, I was wondering, like, why the hell can't I finish this damn project? Like, why I start this project? I can't fucking finish this project. And it's because it wasn't me. I was trying to create something that was somebody else's work under my name so that I could feel better about myself, uh, that I could create something like they did that, in my opinion, looked better than my stuff. And instead of valuing my own work and my own creative techniques and saying, "Oh, like look at how cool like my videos are and what I'm doing is," I put that power onto somebody else and I tried to replicate that so that I could feel like um like my videos are just as good as this person's, and I'm just as good at the art form as this person, because I feel like this person's art form is better than mine because it's more technical, because it's because I can't do certain things that I want to. And the truth is that, you know I think, I'm not going to say Katha can't make Invincible or replicate it or whatever, but I'd be interested to see if he could ever create something like that. And I'm not saying that video is incredible or whatever. I'm saying, could he create something kind of like that isn't so robotic, you know? And I mentioned Katha. I mean, we could talk Zola, Nikki, Kaiser, Mixie P, like all the best in the niche. But I'm curious to see if they could ever tap into themselves to create something that, um, and these guys are the ones that are defining the styles, to create something that that is something more like what Keys created, for example, like that Keys video for Cult Zodiac, that Ultimate Respawn video. Like, it's a complete different style, a complete reimagining of the montage, the way to create a montage. It's almost like it, I think with these styles nowadays, like there's a lot of kind of like overlap between a lot of these styles that are kind of the same. So I'm going to touch on this right here. So here I say, so no, I'm not impressed by these professional caliber productions that come out nowadays. At least not the Zola Katha Nikki Kaiser kind of Mixie P kind of videos, because that mainstream style has been explored to death. It's truly a shame that these are the styles being pushed forward by the mainstream, and where the views are and clout lie, because there's more to this art form than that boring ass style. I mean, we've been doing this for the past 10 something years. There's got to be an evolution of the video style. You can't just keep creating the same videos and expect, it's kind of like music, right? Like, imagine if everybody just kept producing, if they, let's say rap, if everybody just kept trying to reproduce and make music on the same style and wavelength as like Dr. Dre's next episode, or all, basically that 2001 Dr. Dre album where he's got all those kind of like dun 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 dun. So that song, in my opinion, is one of the most iconic songs in rap. But it, if everybody starts making kind of music like that, then what the hell is that even? I mean, is it really that special? You know, no, I mean, that song is always going to be special because it was innovative. But if everybody's music starts sounding the same, then, if everybody's trying to make the same thing, then what the hell's going on, man? It's not, what kind of art are we making here? We're not exploring the endless and boundless possibilities of the infinite spectrum of creativity, right? And that's fucking real right there. That's real as hell. It's just hard to believe how blind one gets when they see something that somebody created that they put a lot of effort into, something that people think is better than what you made. The lengths a human is willing to go through to figure out how in the fuck they can outshine that person, failing to see just how special what they made is and losing sight of who they are. I think I think, we're going to touch on this some more. I was stuck. I got stuck on these Katha videos like for years, and I still haven't been able to match that style, match that level of technicality, create something on that level. And in my opinion, I used to believe, I used to watch those videos. I used to be like, wow, like this is the epitome of the art form. This is truly the the best of the best, the shining, the shining thing on the mountain, right? Like this is the best of the best. This is as good as it's gonna get. It's not gonna. There's no way somebody can make something better than this. This is perfect. It's got the right mix of effects, the right mix of technicality, the kind of right theme. The guy's exploring himself and kind of putting his own kind of vibe and energy into that video, throwing in subliminals, throwing in all these interesting things that nobody had done before. But the truth is that you got to be yourself. You got to be yourself. You got to realize how special you are. You got to realize that what you're making is special. And I think sometimes I look at people's work and I'm like, oh, I could recreate that. Like that's easy. That's easy. I could recreate that. And therefore I'm not as impressed. Whereas if I watch something by like Mixie P, Katha, Zola, Nikki, Kaiser, I'm like, well, I can't do a lot of, I can't do most of the stuff in that video, or half of that stuff in that video I could never do. So like I find that more impressive, and I want to be like that person. But it doesn't matter because we're in a creative field, and creativity, you could take something so simple, and if you're creative enough, you can make it into something amazing and something more impressive than these kind of like 3D super polished high caliber like high technical super technical edits that are coming out nowadays. And that's what I want to kind of like push people to kind of pursue. And kind of, if you get anything out of this video, it's that, like, don't waste your fucking time trying to be somebody that you're not. Don't waste your time trying to be something and make something that you don't believe in, that is somebody else's belief, that somebody else came up with, is somebody else's idea. Like, look at, I was looking at this comment on one of Katha's videos. I creep Katha's videos all the time. I can't get over some of these videos sometimes, and it now I think I've finally gotten over it. But I creep on these videos and I read one comment that says the typography in this video is still good, even it still looks good even 15 years later. And one of the comments underneath that said that's because it never improved. It never got better. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about what that means. It means that it never got better. So nobody actually, like, what made that particular typography, that kind of like bold text, that bold capitalized text with a certain width, um, and that kind of like high contrast differential look. What made that so special? I think personally, I don't know if it's because it's some sort of like human like thing for us to be like, oh, that looks good. That looks good. I think he just put a lot of thought and effort into that, and be and it worked out. But there's plenty of guys who put thought and effort into their text and typography work that doesn't look that way and ends up looking really cool. Like the typography in Ultimate Respawn, the typography in Stockholm, for example. Like, it looks good. And it's tailored to that video. It's not a almost universal professional looking style that can be applied to different industries. And I think that's what kind of made that kind of typography interesting and like really stand out, is the fact that you could take that same typography and you could take that same typography and apply it in different kind of industries where typography is necessary, to drive a point home. So it's like it was like a general understanding, like this looks good, but so do a lot of other things. A lot of other things look good. Um, a lot of other things look good. So I'm confused as to why I went about and actually tried to. I got this thing on my lip here. I actually went about and tried to replicate this idea here of, it's always like I look at how that made me feel and I'm like, okay, I want to feel how I felt, like how I felt when I first saw that, you know, and that's what I'm trying to do. But and I think that's the right way to go about it as well. Like if you're trying to create something, like if it don't go off of trying to compete and outdo the person in the style that they created the video in. Try to feel that same feeling that you got from that video making your own work. And I think that's that might be one of the tricks there, and a good way to actually kind of get over that road bump, that bump in the road, that creative bump in the road. So it's definitely interesting to figure that out. And I think it's important to realize how special what you create is, because if if you're recreating other people's work, you can never that work is never going to have soul. It's never going to have your spirit in it. It's never going to be something that you can be truly proud of, that you're going to look back and say, oh yeah, like I did this because of this, because of that, because of that, because I felt that way, because it was something that just felt right. No, you're going to say, oh, I made that video because I was, like, if I look at Pradi's video, right? Pradi's Ignite, dude, like that whole video is biting off of Katha. And I think everybody could see that. Like, at least the people who are artists were like, I remember talking to Fuster, and Fuster was like, oh yeah, that looks like Katha did it. And I was like, man, like what the hell, like I wanted to be mine. I want it to be mine. But when you're replicating somebody's style and you're copying them and you're drawing inspiration from them, you're never making something truly genuine that has soul, that has your own spirit energy into it. You're just making some knockoff fucking edit for that will never be as good as the original, because they did it first, and you're trying to outshine them in a way that they shine themselves. So you need to find the way for you to shine, is the point here. The last bit here, and then I'll discuss some other things, and then I'm shutting this off. The human experience is fascinating. Competing led me to the realization that everything I want to achieve is is capable through understanding myself, what I want to create, the tools I have in my arsenal, and applying myself. Effort, genuine curiosity, and patience are your best friend when it comes to developing and generating your vision. So I'll leave you guys off with that. Um, I really don't know what more to say about this particular topic, and I hope that I can inspire some people to kind of not fall into the traps that I fell into, because I went 10 years not being able to produce a project because I was so fucking, like, pretty much just like not I was gonna say offended, but I was so, like, I was trying so hard to be somebody that I wasn't through my edits, that I forgot what made my shit special to begin with. And I think, like, I need to go back and watch Invincible more. I need to be proud of, even like I say, like Snipers United was a video that I'm super proud of, and I like that one more than Invincible. Dude, I think Invincible, drawing ideas from all these things, from different avenues, and creating something that was different, even though it wasn't super polished and it wasn't pro looking. Whereas Snipers United is a lot more polished and a lot more pro and still looks really good till today. Whereas, like, Invincible, I'd have to touch it up a little bit, I think, and add a few things in order for it to look more polished and look better. But there's there's something there for me to learn from. And then, genuine, like, just genuine kind of like inspiration, curiosity. Learning patience was big, man. Learning patience was one of the biggest things for me in understanding this art form. And I'm still learning, by the way. Like I don't have this locked down. But what I'm saying is this learning patience, being able to be patient with your work, allowing you to kind of marinate on the work and being able to create something like you're able to make something that is like that doesn't completely drain you, you know? Like sometimes I do find myself like I can put out an edit in like 3 days and it will be a top tier caliber edit. I was just watching Squatting Bears montage. And I was like, man, like this is nice. And the typography work in that, speaking of typography work, the typography work in that looks fucking, it looks really good. And it's not even like that text is not even like, it's like some random fucking text that I picked out. But for some reason, it looks good and it's consistent. But that's not what I'm getting at with that montage. What I'm getting at with that montage is that the entire composition was done in like 2 weeks or like a week or something like that, and it looks good. Now, could I have made it better? I was watching it and I'm like, dude, I wish I could fucking go back and like re-edit this because, like I'm having a whole bunch of different ideas right now that could make this video even better and would have made it even better and would have made it an even better production. But because I was so eager to release the video. So that's another thing you can do is before releasing your video, really sit on that shit for like a month or two. Sit on that video for like a month or two before releasing your video and really let yourself marinate on that. Think to yourself, like, if I were to release this right now, if I were to have released this a month ago after sitting on it for a month, is there anything that I want to change now? And that will make your videos even better. So, with that said, I think I do want to end up closing out. So far, I'm really, I'm, I'm really thankful for some of the friends I have and some of the people in my circle and the people that have kind of given me this kind of vision and this kind of outlook on things because I had I truly haven't felt this way, and I haven't been able to have come to this realization for a very long time. If you look at my edits, you will see that I'm trying to do something and I'm trying to be somebody that I'm not. If you followed me from the very beginning, you know that I, these videos, some of these videos that they don't even feel like I think it was Slippin. It was Slippin who said, and I'll end off with this. It was Slippin who said, that .exe video, it doesn't seem like a true PTW video. And I think the reason for that, and I'll end on this, the reason for that not being like a true PTW video is not because it's a polished video and it's like a really well done video and it's like, it had a bunch of, back then it was pretty technical video and it was hard to replicate. It was because I was, I was trying to be somebody that I wasn't, and I was actually able to. I was actually able to kind of accomplish that through that video. So we were able to create this kind of like high caliber technical edit that really wasn't who I am. It wasn't something that I could say like, oh yeah, this is a good representation of me. No, it's just this professional style, this Zola and Katha mixture style that I kind of like just bit off and was able to kind of create this video for. But yeah, that's why .exe, like, to me, .exe is a great video and I'm proud of it. But it was more of like a like a flex really than actually being something that I can be proud of, in my opinion. Which is why I voted against this shit when it was in the video contest. I looked at it and I'm like, dude, like, it's a good little video, but like compared to something like that Soar made, for example, Soar's Black Box, I was like, dude, this is like a way cooler video. And like he really put more thought into the video than I did. Like I was just trying to make something that, you know, that was kind of like Zola Katha type of caliber, you know? And I don't know if I achieved that or whatever with that. It's arrogant to say, but I mean, it's a short little video and it looks nice. Um, and especially for its time. So what the hell, man? you know, like I need to. I'm glad I explored this topic with you guys, and I hope you learned something from it because um, it really is important to be yourself, and understanding who you are and being yourself is just very complex things. The human experience, like I said, is very complicated. You never know what this is going to toss your way. So I hope that I can make you guys proud in the future, releasing some kind of edits that look completely different than what I've been doing nowadays, that I've been kind of trying to do, that I've been trying to create, because I've been trying to create this like almost this kind of like pro style that like, you know, it really isn't me. And I need to experiment more, and I want to experiment more, and I will. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.